Howdy y'all, and welcome to Creators Gaming. Today we're going to be making a shipwreck out of some trash and some scraps. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. To start off with, we're going to be using some of the test pieces from whenever I made the ships in an earlier video. Those templates I got from Dungeons by Hand, which I will leave a link in the description below. Now, once I get it to the right angle that I want it to be and I hot glue it down, I am going to go ahead and take another piece of scrap foam that I had just laying around, and I'm going to try to cover up the gaps to make it look like it's just kind of sunken down into the ocean floor. And of course, you know what, I'm going to be using the hot glue still because I have no time for the tacky glue. No patience whatsoever. And just keep in mind, we're making a sunken pirate ship that has fallen down into the ocean for whatever reason. Either a kraken came up and grabbed it, or it's been shot out of the water by another ship. So it's not going to be perfect. So using scraps in this case is absolutely ideal, I think. And it doesn't hurt that most of it is just going to be plain trash, which was destined for the trash can anyway. So free items? I can't beat that. We're going to go ahead and pause the video right here to remind you that you can become a Patreon or buy us a coffee. All proceeds go towards furthering the channel and buying supplies. If you help out, you do get a shout out. Also try to keep in mind, I have never actually seen the ocean. So all the ideas that I'm getting from this is just pictures that I've seen off the internet. So hopefully this is as close to being right. Just don't hold me to it. So part, I'm just using a piece of a box that I had my beer in. And it's going to be the captain's quarters. So I think it works out just fine. Using yet more trash. This was a freezer bag box. That sounds weird, but that's what we're using. I'm just going to hold it off to the side where I kind of outline where I need to cut. That way it looks kind of right. And then I'm going to hot glue and wrap and then hold. Now, hindsight, I probably should have put this on the other side where the shiny side wasn't out, and it would have probably been a little easier to paint. As I had to go over the paint twice just to get it to stick because the shiny side did not like it. Or I could have scraped it up a little bit and then it would have stuck a little better. Too late now, this is a learning process for all of us. In case I haven't mentioned before, I absolutely love hot glue. It takes no time to dry. You can make easy terrain. You can use more hot glue if you want more of a textured bottom. You don't have to if you don't want to. You can just fill it up full of sand and be done with it. Now here, I'm going to go ahead and box up the back side with some coffee stirrers. I do not know the name of the back side of the ship. I think it's the poop deck, but I could be wrong. Too much SpongeBob, I guess. Regardless, we're going to go ahead and frame it up with some hot glue, and we're going to try to make it look as right as possible. And again, I'm going off of pictures from the internet. The things I like most about the coffee stir sticks is that you can break them off to the right size and it doesn't look wonky. Just make sure that you don't mess up and burn your poor little fingers. Use a low heat gun if at all possible, because number one, you don't burn your fingers as bad, and two, it doesn't melt the foam. And I am using some pretty thinly cut XPS foam and some Dollar Tree foam. After a quick Google search, it is called the stern, not the poop deck. So we're going to use some more scrap foam and we're going to make the rudder. Super easy. Next, we're going to try to wrap up the captain's quarters. I was trying to figure out the best way to do this and ended up deciding to go over instead of under. I was smart this time. I did scuff it up beforehand. Yay me, I do learn, eventually. I'm going to go ahead and go with a hot glue gun on the inside, so in case that the players are a little rough with this, it doesn't just pop off. I have a lot more structure once I put the captain's quarters in there. It's just something to kind of hold it for now. On to what I believe is called the foredeck. We're going to go ahead and build that up as well. Again, using scrap pieces. Nothing new was cut for this. To add the windows, we're going to be using some more of the coffee stirrer sticks, and we're going to cut them to size. I'm just kind of scoring it, and then I'm just going to pop it right off. Super easy. And as for mentioned captain's quarters, I did have to kind of shave some of the sides off in order to get it to fit in correctly. I did that off screen so I didn't bore y'all to death. And then I hot glued the heck out of it. To make some of the broken ladders, which I am going to be using from the coffee stir stick pieces that I had broken off in order to make the captain's quarters on the back side. So no pieces went to waste. Captain quarters, stern, I'm not sure what it's really supposed to be called. The most I have to go off from is maybe Pirates of the Caribbean and SpongeBob, so bear with me, I apologize. And bear in mind that this is a sunken pirate ship. It's okay if the sticks lean because they're broken stairs. It works out fine. Another piece of a box, I'm going to go ahead and glue on the door. And because it did look a little rugged, I did cut some thin strips of XPS foam that I had just laying around. I didn't use the hot wire cutter. I just used a regular X-Acto knife. Works out fine. And we're going to hot glue it on there like there's no tomorrow. There's the aforementioned piece of foam that I'm cutting from. Just cutting it down to size to where it fits in the way that I think it should. And it doesn't have to be perfect because, again, it is a sunken ship. It's better if it's not perfect. To make the wood finish on the top deck, I am just going to use a foam brush and just scrape it around a little bit, and then I'm going to draw it in with a pen. When we go through and we dry brush, it really brings out those details, as you can kind of see here, and before we paint it. I'm going to go ahead and use some more scrap pieces as rubble down at the bottom. It's not necessarily necessary. Sounds weird, but this is what we're going to do. Now it's best to go ahead and texturize this before you start gluing them down because it'll be too late later. Meantime, I'm using a chestnut acrylic matte paint. It's not the expensive stuff, it's the cheap stuff you get from Walmart. It's usually about 50 cents. Used to be a quarter. I'm going to move on to an off-white for the backside stern, captain's quarters. See, I learn. Now if I can just get the camera to focus on something other than my hand, I'd be doing even better. Windows, I'm going to use actual window screen. These are scraps that I found, and what better use for it? Top it off, it was free, so there we go. And we're going to be using regular old school glue, so it will not be going anywhere. Extra trimming may be necessary. Next color is going to be what my husband calls baby vomit yellow. It does go on quite a bit brighter than the way it dries, because remember, like I say in all my videos, acrylics dry darker than what you put them on as, so it'll be okay. Don't freak out. This color is going to be my handy dandy khaki that you see me use in quite a few videos, and we're going to go along the top part. I do not know what this part is called because it doesn't show on any of the diagrams that I looked at. If you happen to know, please put it down in the comment, that way I will know for future videos and or just for me to have in the old memory bank. Also going to dry brush in the same khaki color because I just like how it looks. A nice aged look without a whole lot of effort. If you're nitpicky and you see a bunch of spots that don't look right, like that big old gap that I put a whole bunch of hot glue in, don't worry, we're going to put some reindeer moss in it later. We're going to cover it up with some moss and flocking. Speaking of, it's flocking time. We're going to use some school glue or PVA glue, however you want to call it. Just make sure that the paint is dry before you start to apply this, or else it will run. But I like how this looks. It makes it look like it's been down in the sea for a while. If you have extra little shell pieces to add to it, you can do that as well. I'm just going for the quick and dirty version. Real rhyme or reason on how I cover it up. It's just if it suits my fancy, that's what we go with. And if I think it looks right, that's also what we're going to go with. Go ahead and start applying the reindeer moss to little pieces here and there. If I see cracks that I don't like the looks of, there's going to be a little bit that goes there. Also going to be using leftover aquarium plants and some plants that I bought from the Dollar Tree to kind of spruce it up a little bit and make it look like it belongs in the ocean. Be careful with this step because you do have to kind of hold it for a minute until it sticks, and a lot of the aquarium plants will kind of bend or melt. So I use a little piece of reindeer moss to kind of hold it in place. I think it was a good use for all the scrap pieces. Well, I like how it turned out. It's a nice little project and super cheap. Well, there you have it. Super easy, super cheap shipwreck made out of scraps and trash, things that were destined for the trash cans. So, if you liked the video, please hit the like, subscribe, share the channel. It helps out a whole lot, and I hope to see y'all again next week. Bye!